We're here. It's Thrift. It's Rich. It's the voices of the GIAA. Richard Holdridge. It's finally here. It's championship Final Four week. And it's inside the GIAA Ultimate Preview Show to get you ready for the basketball semifinals and finals coming up this week at Bruton Parker and Columbus State University. Thrift Barringer, Richard Holdridge, are you excited about this week, Big Rich?
Thrift, I cannot believe that tomorrow we will be at two different places, Bruton Parker, Columbus State University in Columbus. The Final Four is here, and by the end of the week, we will have champions crowned for all the classifications in the GIAA.
Yes, we will, Richard, and we're going to talk about all the classifications and what happened in the quarterfinals. Thank you to Stratford, Tatnall, and FPD, who are the host sites of the quarterfinals. Excellent viewing. From everything I've heard, they did a great job being gracious hosts. It was a lot of fun determining who's making it to the semifinals, and we're going to talk about each bracket, each classification, and give you the ultimate preview heading into what should be a fantastic championship and Final Four week. We are presented by Roger Beck and the Beck Center. Thank you to Roger Beck and the Beck Center for being the presenting sponsor for all GIAA athletic championship events. And by the way, this week, you can watch Inside the GIAA on GIAA.TV. That is right. You can watch it on GIAA.TV, and you'll be able to get it affordable to watch all the semifinals, whether it be at Bruton Parker, whether it be here at Columbus State. So we're going to be two locations. Wednesday and Thursday, the 1A and 2A classification will be at Bruton Parker.
Yes.
The 3A and 4A will be here at Columbus State University. Then on Friday and Saturday, all the classifications will be playing at Columbus State on Friday and Saturday. 1A and 3A play on Wednesday at the two locations. 2A and 4A play on Thursday at the two locations. Then 1A and 3A play at Columbus State for their championships. And 2A and 4A on Saturday at Columbus State University. Thank you to Mary Sherman and everyone at Columbus for allowing us to be here. They're such a gracious host.
Yes.
It's a great facility. It's a great avenue and a great place to host some championship games.
The Columbus Sports Council does a fantastic job hosting events, and we are going to have some future events as far as GIAA championships.
Yep.
They're going to be on the horizon. I know we can't really say anything until we do the spring sports, but there is a special location that we can't drop. But last year, Columbus State University, gracious host for hosting all the classifications in the championships from 1A all the way to 4A. And this year, Columbus State is still going to be the host for the championship, but they're also hosting the 3A and 4A Final Four matchups.
Well, we can't wait for that. Again, it's going to be a ton of fun to see who's going to win those championship games. So what we're going to do, we're going to get you ready. First up will be the 1A classification, girls and boys. We'll take a break. We'll do 2A break, 3A break, and then we're going to get out of here with a conclusion and talk about, again, what's coming up this week on GIAA.TV. So let's go ahead and take a quick break now. When we come back, we're diving into the 1A girls and boys quarterfinals and set you up and prepare you for the semifinals and finals here on GIAA.TV.
Founded in 1985, the Georgia Independent School Association proudly represents nearly 170 accredited private, independent, and parochial schools across the state. From Tallulah Falls to St. Simon's Island, from Columbus to Augusta, our schools serve over 76,000 students every year. Whether parents are interested in smaller class sizes, more individual attention, a religious-based curriculum, or a safe and structured environment, the GISA provides a strong education, which is the foundation for success. To learn more about the GISA and how they can serve your school, visit us online at www.gisaschools.org.
Welcome back here to GIAA.TV, and I want to let you know now, for a low price of $39.99, you can watch all 4 games at CSU. So when you buy a day on GIAA.TV, you can buy the day at Bruton Parker, or you can buy the day at CSU. That means you'll get access to all 4 games that day at that location for $39.99. That's basically $10 a game. Very affordable, and we're going to give you multiple camera angles. We're going to give you great analysis, great calls. It is going to be a fantastic scene and match. If you can't drive down to Columbus State, it's okay. GIAA.TV. That is GIAA.TV. You'll buy the bundle. You'll get access to all 4 videos for that day, and you'll have to do the same thing for the next day and then the state championship games as well. So it's $39.99. each day to watch some high-level state
Nice.
championship and semifinal games at each location on GIAA.TV. All right, Richard, let's go ahead and throw it up there, and let's do the 1A classification. And we're going to talk about the girls. Fullington takes down Thomas Jefferson, and Stevens, their leading scorer, had 23 points. She was fantastic in helping Fullington take down Thomas Jefferson. Fullington comes in as the number 1 overall seed, Richard, in the tournament. They're the favorite to win it all right now. But what an excellent performance. She had 23 points on the day. And again, her name is Caroline Stevens. The senior was fantastic in leading her Fullington Trojans back to the Final Four. Congratulations to them on getting the great victory. How about Robert Toombs Memorial Day? Who won that game?
Yeah,
Richard?
Robert Toombs was the number 4 seed. They were taking on Memorial Day, which was the number 5 seed at Stratford Academy. And Robert Toombs is able to get the victory, and so they're going to move on and take on Fullington Academy at Bruton Parker tomorrow at 6 p.m.
And let's talk about that game. I'm going to be honest. If Stevens keeps playing the way she has been a mismatch nightmare. Robert Toombs, I told you, they were one of my sleeper teams. And Citizen Christian, that was another team that I was really high on. I think Fullington makes it back to the Final Four. I think Stevens, Caroline's going to be the leader and helping get them back to the state championship game and bring home that trophy they've been coveted for quite some time. I'm going Fullington over Robert Toombs. What do you think, Richard?
I think that Fullington beats Robert Toombs as well.
All right, let's move on now to the lower part of the bracket. St. George beats Chris 55-36. Jules Cotell had 23 points and helping the St. George, the number 2 seed, win. And then Citizens Christian takes down John Hancock 56-29. Arabelle Robertson had 38 points. Yes, you heard it right. Arabelle Robertson had 38 points. She was fantastic and helped taking down over John Hancock. Now you got St. George taking on Citizens Christian. You got Jules Cotell and Arabelle from Citizens Christian taking on each other. What do you see in this matchup? I think this very evenly matched. Where are you going with it, Richard?
Yeah, I actually think that St. George ends up defeating Citizens Christian. I mean, they are the number 2 seed, but you have the top teams here in 1A that are advancing. I like chalk here. I do think that St. George and Fullington is going to be the championship at Columbus State on Friday.
And that's Arabelle Roberts. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Robertson. So I apologize, Arabelle. Arabelle Roberts, the sophomore, small forward, putting up 38 points. Citizens Christian in the rankings on Max Preps and the Maxwell were number 4, but they end up being the number 3 seed because they won their region, they won their district. I'm going Citizens Christian because of their experience, because I've been high on them all year. Their strength of schedule, they played a tougher schedule than almost anybody else in the 1A classification. It's going to be a close game. I can't wait to see the battle between Roberts and Cotell. I'm going to go Citizens Christian taking on Fullington in the 1A Girls State Championship game. And we will have time on Friday. We'll preview the 1A and 3A State Championship games once we know who's going to make it. And then on Saturday, we'll do the same thing at 12 p.m. 12 p.m. each day. That includes tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're going to give you previews of that day, where we're going to be, who's playing where, and kind of give you who we think is how it's going to play out. And we're going to do that each day. And we'll have our state final preview Friday and Saturday to set you up for the 1A, 3A on Friday, 2A and 4A on Saturday. All right, let's go to the boys now, Rich. If you look at the boys classification, we got Citizens Christian taking down Fullington, Richard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great win by Citizens Christian. They are the number 1 seed, taking on the number 9 seed Fullington that had to beat Crisp Academy on the road.
Yep.
And this was a good win for Citizens Christian. They move on, and they are going to be taking on Thomas Jefferson in the Final Four. That's going to be at Bruton Parker, and that's going to be at 7:30 tomorrow.
Yeah, so Thomas Jefferson beat St. George, and Brooks had 32 points to lead Thomas Jefferson over the upset of the 4 seed St. George. You got number 1 Citizens, number 4 St. George. I'm going Citizens. I've been high on them all season long. I said they were going to be in the state champion, and they were my favorite heading into the playoffs this year. Give me Citizens Christian back in the final over Thomas Jefferson. This will be played at Bruton Parker, 7:30 on Wednesday. Citizens Christian, Thomas Jefferson, 1 versus 4. Where are you going, Rich?
I think Citizens Christian ends up winning. They are the number 1 overall seed in 1A for the boys, and I think that they keep rolling. Let's
go to the bottom half of the bracket. First Preparatory Christian Academy takes down LaGrange, and they move to the Final Four. Great job by FPCA on getting a big win. And Robert Toombs takes down Grace Christian. So we're getting the number 2 FPCA and number 3 Robert Toombs facing off against each other. This one's going to be very interesting, Richard. If you look at the rankings for the boys in 1A, obviously Citizen Christian came in number 2. For FPCA was ranked number 1 according to the Maxwell rankings, but the seedings had them at number 3. So, and then Robert Toombs, who is ranked 3rd, is actually the seeded right now 3rd. So they stayed where they were seated. FPCA is actually number 2 in the bracket right now, and Citizens Christian is number 1. I'm going to go Citizens Christian, FPCA over Robert Toombs. I think this is an evenly matched game. FPCA comes in 17-5, Robert Toombs 16-10. I think FPCA and Citizens Christian have been the top 2 teams all year long in 1A, and they've been on a collision course. We've been talking about them all season long. Give me FPCA over Robert Toombs. What about you, Richard? You see an upset happening? You got Robert Toombs in the championship game.
Well, let's start with FPCA. Furlow had 18 points over LaGrange Academy. That was at Tatnall.
Wow.
They were able to advance. Robert Toombs, the number 3 seed. I know that I could easily say FPCA. I'm taking Robert Toombs in an upset. The number 3 seed is going to knock out FPCA, where they're going to take on Citizens Christian in the 1A championship.
And then the 1A championship will be coming up again at 4:40 on Friday. That is the 1A championship coming up 4:40, and looking forward to being able to see how that championship is going to play out. We got the Final 4 games, 4:30 FPCA and Robert Toombs at Bruton Parker. That is 4:30 FPCA and Robert Toombs on Wednesday at Bruton Parker. All right, that's the 1A classification. So we both, for the girls, I had Citizens Christian and Fullington. Richard, you had St. George and Fullington. And then for the boys, I had Citizens Christian FPCA. You got Citizens Christian against Robert Toombs. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's a 2A classification here on Inside the GIAA Ultimate Basketball Preview Show.
GIAA.TV now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.TV Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV.
Founded in 1985, the Georgia Independent School Association proudly represents nearly 170 accredited private, independent, and parochial schools across the state. From Tallulah Falls to St. Simon's Island, from Columbus to Augusta, our schools serve over 76,000 students every year. Whether parents are interested in smaller class sizes, more individual attention, a religious-based curriculum, or a safe and structured environment, the GISA provides a strong education, which is the foundation for success. To learn more about the GISA and how they can serve your school, visit us online at www.gisaschools.org.
This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.TV, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association. GIAA.TV now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.TV Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV.
Founded in 1985, the Georgia Independent School Association proudly represents nearly 170 accredited private, independent, and parochial schools across the state. From Tallulah Falls to St. Simon's Island, from Columbus to Augusta, our schools serve over 76,000 students every year. Whether parents are interested in smaller class sizes, more individual attention, a religious-based curriculum, or a safe and structured environment, the GISA provides a strong education, which is the foundation for success. To learn more about the GISA and how they can serve your school, visit us online at www.gisaschools.org.
Welcome back to Inside the GIAA. Thrift Barringer. Big Rich is here, and we are excited to bring you the ultimate basketball preview. We just did 1A. Now we're going to do 2A. And remember, every single day we're going to give you a pregame show live from CSU to talk about the upcoming games from both locations. And it costs $39.99 to watch 4 games from that location. So if you go to GIAA.TV, you click on CSU Day 1, you're going to get all 4 games at CSU. That's all 4 3A classification semifinals on Wednesday. If you click on Bruton Parker, you're going to get all 4 1A classification semifinals games. And they're $39.99, $10 each, very affordable. Oh, yeah. And it's going to be excellent broadcast. You're going to want to tune in for sure on that. All right, let's talk to the 2A girls. So Brentwood, the number 1 seed, Richard, they got a big win over Gatewood, and they continue moving forward. Show them why they're the number 1 team in the league.
Oh, yeah, they're the number 1 team for a reason. Hancock was the leading scorer with 12 points, defeating a very good Gatewood team that got the upset over Southland Academy in the first round. And they're going to move on, and they're going to be taking on Trinity Christian in the semifinals. Bruton Parker College tomorrow at 6 p.m.
Yeah, so I was looking at right now as Trinity Christian. Vincent, the junior, had 24 points as they take down Edmund Burke. So kind of an upset.
A little bit of an upset.
Beats it 4 at Edmund Burke. And you're going to get Brentwood number 1 taking on number 5 Trinity Christian at 6 p.m. Bruton Parker. This will be on Thursday. Okay, 2A and 4A on Thursday, 1A and 3A are on Wednesday semifinals. And the 2A is at Bruton Parker, 6 p.m. I'm going Brentwood. I got them going all the way to the championship. They've been the number 1 team all year long. Give me them taking down Trinity Christian. You're going to hear a lot of chalk from me. I'm taking a lot of the top seeds. There's a reason why they're ranked number 1 and why they've been number 1 for the majority of the season. Give me Brentwood over Trinity Christian. What about you, Rich?
I got Brentwood as well.
All right, so let's go to the bottom part of the bracket. And Southwest Georgia Briarwood faced off in the quarterfinals.
Yes, Southwest Georgia, the number 2 overall seed, taking on the 7th seed Briarwood. And Charlie Davis was the leading scorer for Southwest Georgia out of Damascus. They are moving on to the Final Four. They will kick things off 3 o'clock at Bruton Parker College.
Okay, and then for the lower part of the bracket, Central Fellowship and Furtaw Prep girls faced off against each other. And Central Fellowship was able to take down Furtaw Prep 52-45. Malayan Hines had 17 points. Great job by her leading her Central Fellowship team back to the Final Four. That will be 3 p.m. Southwest Georgia, Central Fellowship. Southwest Georgia is another team, Richard, coming in to the playoffs. They were ranked pretty high. They were actually up in the top 2. They ended up finishing 4. I'm going Central Fellowship, who's ranked number 2 in the rankings, number 3 seed. Give me Central Fellowship at 23-4 over 25-3 Southwest. It's going to be a barn burner. It's going to be up and down. It's going to be a very highly contested game. You really can do a coin flip either way with this one. I'm going to go Central Fellowship and Brentwood. Give me chalk in the championship. What about you?
I've got Southwest Georgia advancing over Central Fellowship and taking on Brentwood in the championship.
That is fantastic. And like you mentioned, Charlie Davis had 15 points as Southwest Georgia beat Briarwood. So we'll see how that plays out. All right, let's go now to the boys' side of the bracket. And the number one team in the boys is Heritage, led by Coach Job Jerome. And Heritage got a big win over Southwest Georgia. Sam Mead led the team with 18 points. And they take on a really good Brentwood team, who Brentwood beat Gatewood, and Cobb was the leading scorer with 26 points.
Yeah.
So Heritage takes down Southwest Georgia. Cobb, the leading scorer for Brentwood, as they take down 5-seed Gatewood. Brentwood and Heritage, I'm going Heritage. They've been in the championship game the last 2 years. They've been the Final Four several years in a row. Job Jerome's got one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent program in the entire GIAA. Heritage back in the state championship for the third straight year, and a fun game, but they're going to win. This will be at Bruton Parker, 7:30 on Thursday. 7:30 Thursday. Heritage and Brentwood should be a lot of fun. Give me Heritage and Job Jerome back in the championship. Where are you going, Rich?
I got Heritage in this. Job Jerome knows how to win. They were a 3A school last year. They go down to 2A. This is just a very talented GIAA school out of Noonan, Georgia, that has, they actually took on a higher classification teams, like 4A teams, and taking them to the wire. I think that Heritage gets back to the championship, and we'll see how it goes.
Bottom side of the bracket, Richard, had some upsets happening.
We did have an upset as Augusta Prep ends up getting the upset. They are the number 7 seed, defeating Central Fellowship 67-62. Elijah McFadgen was the leading scorer with 20 points.
Wow.
So they move on, but it's not going to be easy, Thrift, because the defending champions are right there in their path. Furtop Prep gets the narrow 62-61 victory over Sherwood Christian. And Anders Ciaros is the leading scorer for Furtop Prep, 19 points. Look, something's got to give. I think that Furtop Prep is going to get past Augusta Prep because they are the defending 2A champions. But that is going to be an incredible matchup to see Heritage and Furtop Prep, which that's my championship. I'm kind of getting a little ahead of myself, but I'm predicting that's going to be the championship.
Go ahead. You're predicting Furtop Prep to beat Augusta Prep. I think Augusta Prep, great Cinderella run, beating Rock Springs, then beating Central Fellowship, getting to the Final Four. Congratulations to them. Upsetting a 2 seed is no small feat. Furtop Prep's got the experience. They were into the game last year. They're going to win. And honestly, Richard, we've been talking and looking forward to a Heritage Furtop Prep game.
Yes, we have.
All season long. So give me Heritage Furtop Prep in the state championship. That will be 4:40 on Saturday. And Augusta Prep, Furtop Prep, is 4:30 on Thursday. That semifinal game. Again, you can catch it on GIAA.tv. All right, there's a 2A classification. We'll take a break. Come back. Time for 3A here on Inside the GIAA, presented by the Beck Center here on GIAA.tv.
This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.tv, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association.
Founded in 1985, the Georgia Independent School Association proudly represents nearly 170 accredited private, independent, and parochial schools across the state. From Tallulah Falls to St. Simon's Island, from Columbus to Augusta, our schools serve over 76,000 students every year. Whether parents are interested in smaller class sizes, more individual attention, a religious-based curriculum, or a safe and structured environment, the GISA provides a strong education, which is the foundation for success. To learn more about the GISA and how they can serve your school, visit us online at www.gisaschools.org.
GIAA.tv now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.tv Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV. This copyrighted broadcast, presented exclusively on GIAA.TV, is copyrighted by the Georgia Independent Athletic Association, a division of the Georgia Independent School Association, for the private use of our audience. It may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of the Georgia Independent School Association.
Founded in 1985, the Georgia Independent School Association proudly represents nearly 170 accredited private, independent, and parochial schools across the state. From Tallulah Falls to St. Simon's Island, from Columbus to Augusta, our schools serve over 76,000 students every year. Whether parents are interested in smaller class sizes, more individual attention, a religious-based curriculum, or a safe and structured environment, the GISA provides a strong education, which is the foundation for success. To learn more about the GISA and how they can serve your school, visit us online at www.gisaschools.org.
Welcome to Inside the GIAA. Thrift, Barringer, Richard Holdridge, your voice for GIAA.TV. We're both going to be at the 3A and 4A semifinals here at Columbus State, but we will have also some great announcers at Bruton Parker for the 1A and 2A semifinals on Wednesday and Thursday as well. All right, let's continue going. And let's go to the 3A girls classification, Richard. So we look at the 3A girls. The number 1 seed, Lakeview, keeps on winning. And right now I had here in my notes, Richard, players had points between 8 to 10 points. The leading scorers were Natalie Turner and Emery Combs, leading with 10. Dynasty Putman, who was the leading scorer on the team, she only had 9. This was just an overall great team effort. And Lakeview gets a big win over Pinewood, 65-37. The defending champions moves back to the Final Four. Great win for them. And then Frederica and Westfield was a fantastic game as Frederica beats Westfield in what was a fun game, 48-35. Frederica undefeated, by the way, as they stay undefeated. And there was a lot of shakeups. Listen, in that 3A girls classification, Richard, we had a couple of major upsets, but one of them was not Frederica, and Frederica came in 19-2 as they got a win over Westminster, another really good team, and they head back to the Final Four. And now we got Frederica and Lakeview. To be honest with you, they're such a deep team. They're so well coached. They have so many options where if you try to take Dynasty Putman away, you get Natalie Turner and Emery Combs. 5 players with over 8 to 10. They're just a complete team. I'm going Lakeview back to the championship. I don't think anybody left in this 3A classification. And if Lakeview's playing their best, I don't think anyone has what it takes to take them down. They're going to have to play kind of subpar compared to their standard. Give me Lakeview over Frederica. I think it's going to be a fun game. But I'm going to take Lakeview. We'll be on the call for this one here, and this will be at CSU 6 p.m. on Wednesday. You will actually call in this game, Richard, and Lakeview and Frederica. Who you got in this one?
I think that the defending champs continue to roll as I think the path gets a little bit easier for Lakeview. They're taking on the number 4 seed Frederica, but I think that the 2 teams that could have given them the best shot got upset. And so I think this is Lakeview's championship to lose.
Yeah, no, it is for sure. And I think, again, they're the favorite for a reason. But how about that bottom side of the bracket, Richard? Some major upsets. And talking first as the number 2 seed who came in undefeated in the quarterfinals goes down.
Wow. What can you say? Big upset. John Millage, 40-37 over undefeated Terrell Academy.
Wow.
As Pierce Moores with 18 points. So John Millage, the number 7th seed. Not only did they take down the defending champions in the first round, Deerfield-Windsor, they're able to knock off Terrell Academy to move on to the Final Four, where they will face the 6th seed, Westminster of Augusta, as they took down the defending 2A champions, Piedmont and Marissa Holder. I seriously thought there was a collision course between Piedmont and Lakeview, but Westminster Schools of Augusta pulls off the upset for the ages.
And you know why? India Williams, with one of the greatest performances we've seen in GIAA history. India Williams helped her Westminster school beat Piedmont in what was a fantastic game. And by the way, coming into the rankings for 3, Westminster was number 5. They end up finishing as a 6th seed. Frederica beat Westfield. I don't know why I said I mixed those up, because I see Westminster is actually the 5 ranking, but 6th seed.
Right.
India Williams, 61 points. Wow. What a performance between her and Marissa Holder. A mano-a-mano type game, and India Williams upset. She had 30 in the first half. And Westminster is now, we're going to have a lower seed with 6 or 7 playing for a state championship. I'm going to go Westminster because I think India Williams is going to continue her hot streak of 61. She's obviously a mismatch nightmare. I'm going Westminster over John Millage. Westminster taking on Lakeview in the championship. Where are you going, Rich?
I've got Westminster Schools of Augusta taking down John Millage. India Williams, I mean, she is easily going to be their best scoring option, and I think that she continues this momentum and gets hot in the Final Four and goes all the way to the championship, taking on the defending champs.
All right, now let's go to the boys' side. And Richard, the number 1 team that continue showing why they're ranked number 1 and they're seeded number 1.
Yeah, there's no question. Brookwood has been the best team all season. In fact, Brookwood has been ranked up there as far as one of the top teams in the GIAA altogether. They had no problem over Valwood, 79-29. Roscoe Jones led the way with 19 points. They are going to be in action and on Wednesday at Columbus State University, taking on a very good Deerfield-Windsor team that they have played very well. You know, their football team won a championship. They got some of their football players that are on this basketball team. They know how to win. And Deerfield-Windsor gets a big overtime win over Frederica, 49-45. Lane Seals, leading scorer with 14 points. Remember him from the Gridiron?
I know him.
Yeah, we called his state championship football game.
Yeah, and so great win for Deerfield-Windsor. They take down Frederica in great fashion. As you may mention, Seals with 14, 49-45. That was a great game that went down to the wire. And it from people that were there at the game said it was a great atmosphere. And Deerfield now taking on Brookwood. I don't see an upset happening. I think Deerfield's had a great season, but Brookwood's number 1 for a reason coming into the playoffs. They are 27-2 on the year. St. Andrews actually is ranked number 1 in max preps. Number 2 is Brookwood, 3 Lakeview, 4 Deerfield-Windsor. I'm going to go Brookwood over Deerfield-Windsor in a close game. I think all these 3A classification for the boys are going to go down the wire. All of them are going to be up for grabs. I'm going Brookwood over Deerfield-Windsor in maybe one of the games of the year. 7:30 Wednesday night.
Oh,
sign me up.
Here we
at
go.
Columbus State. It will be a good one. Richard, where are you going?
I got Brookwood winning this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than anticipated. I just think they rolled Valwood. And I think when you're the overall number 1 seed and you've had a fantastic record and you're one of the top teams in the GIAA, Brookwood out of Thomasville, and we know all the history about Thomasville. They've had some great athletes come out of Thomasville, including Charlie Ward.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that Brookwood is going to roll, and I think it's going to be a little bit closer. Brookwood gets to the championship where they'll play on Friday at Columbus State.
All right, now moving on, and we're going to the bottom half of the bracket. St. Andrews takes down Tift area. They won 70-49. It was pretty dominant for the team that played in the state championship last year. Edwards was their leading scorer with 25 points, and we're finally going to get a rematch of last year's state championship. It's St. Andrews. It's Lakeview. We've been waiting on this for a long time, Richard. I can't wait for it. And it should be a lot of fun to see who's going to win this state championship. St. Andrews and Lakeview, as Lakeview takes down Westminster Schools of Augusta, the defending state champion.
Hey, we get a state championship rematch in the Final Four. We're going to have that game on the GIAA.TV, 4:30 at Columbus State. Give me Lakeview. You can never underestimate the heart of a champion. And I know I'm quoting Rudy T, but I think that Lakeview continues rolling, and that's going to set up for an incredible 3A championship between the defending 3A champion Lakeview and the up-and-coming Brookwood.
Yeah, and we'll preview that later on. But remember, both those games, St. Andrews, Lakeview, I'll be on the call for that. 4:30, number 2 St. Andrews, number 3 Lakeview. It is a rematch of last year's state championship. It is going to be a lot of fun at Columbus State University. All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll come back and wrap it up with the 4A classification inside the GIAA, presented by the Beck Center Ultimate Basketball Preview Show. We'll be right back after this.
GIAA.TV now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.TV Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV.
Founded in 1985, the Georgia Independent School Association proudly represents nearly 170 accredited private, independent, and parochial schools across the state. From Tallulah Falls to St. Simon's Island, from Columbus to Augusta, our schools serve over 76,000 students every year. Whether parents are interested in smaller class sizes, more individual attention, a religious-based curriculum, or a safe and structured environment, the GISA provides a strong education, which is the foundation for success. To learn more about the GISA and how they can serve your school, visit us online at www.gisaschools.org.
GIAA.TV now brings you more live coverage of more sports than ever before. Announcing GIAA.TV Lite with live coverage of swim, wrestling, cheer, and more. GIAA.TV Lite is the next best thing to being there. From one screen, you will hear the crowd, see the action, the scores, the stats, and more. With no play-by-play or instant replays, GIAA.TV Lite is half the price of our regular broadcast. Announcing GIAA.TV Plus. With all of your fan favorites, GIAA.TV Plus now adds volleyball, softball, all-star football, and more. Featuring all the play-by-play, instant replays, multiple angles, and more, all for less than the cost of 2 adult tickets to the event. Don't miss 1 second of the action all year long, only on GIAA.TV.
Welcome back to Inside the GIAA. Thrift, Barringer, Richard Holdridge here, and we are finally at the 4A classification. Richard, let's go ahead and throw up the girls' 4A classification. And how about the number 1 team with a big win over Tallulah Falls?
Yeah, Athens Christian gets a huge win, 45-32 over Tallulah Falls. Athens Christian, the team coming from the GHSA that went to the Final Four. They are the number 1 seed for a reason, because not only did they win their region, beating a very good Lakeview team, that's a 3A team, but they deserve the right to get the overall number 1 seed because of their regular season and winning their district. They are led by Marlene Meblin with 20 points, and they move on to the Final Four, which will be at Columbus State tomorrow.
Well, and so we're going to have Athens Christian. Then how about George Walton and Loganville? This was a really good game between two. Loganville probably the hottest team coming into the tournament.
Yeah, George Walton gets the 43-40 victory over Loganville, and George Walton was led by Leela Mathis with 20 points. And George Walton even though they're the number 4 seed, they have been, in the top 2, top 3 all year long. They just didn't win their region. I think that's why they got bumped down to a number 4 seed. But this team has been to the GIAA championship in the last 2 years. They won it 2 years ago. Last year, lost to Pacelli. Something's got to give because you got a very strong Athens Christian team. It's their first year in the GIAA. George Walton has been here before as the runners-up in the GIAA. This is going to be a fantastic matchup.
Athens, George Walton. George Walton played in the last 2 state championship, lost last year to Pacelli, beat Brookstone the year before. I'm going Athens Christian. I think they've been the best team all season long. The team coming in from the GHSA. Give me Athens Christian over George Walton in a close contested game, 53-50. I'm taking Athens Christian in the championship. Where are you going?
I got Athens Christian in this game. They just continue rolling. This team knows how to win, and you've seen what Athens Christian has done in other sports like wrestling. This team is making the perfect transition to the GIAA, and this has really been a warm welcome, especially to see a team that's had a lot of success in the GHSA now translate that over to the GIAA.
Moving on now to the bottom half of the bracket as Stratford takes down FPD. Great job by Stratford as they move forward. Richard, they got a big win, and the number 2 seed showing why they're one of the top teams in the entire state. Kamaya Hudson led them in scoring with 22 points. Great job by Kamaya, and they move on to take on Pacelli, who was led by Michaela Hosley with 14 points as they take down Tatnall Square. So congratulations to Pacelli making it back to the Final Four, the defending champion, and they take on Stratford. They're 25-2 for a reason.
Yes.
Taking on Pacelli. Where are you going, Rich?
I got Pacelli in this one. This is the defending GIAA champions. And I know that, they've had some losses in the regular. The losses in the regular season was against teams that were not even in the GIAA. They were in the GHSA. They've lost to a 7A school in Alabama. And I just think this Pacelli team knows how to win. They have majority of the people back from last year's championship team. I mean, I get it. There's no sneaking up on anybody like they've done the last couple of years. And I think that Stratford is a very talented team, but they haven't played Pacelli yet. And I think the home court advantage of, yes, it is a home court advantage. They're playing at Columbus State. Pacelli is maybe 5 minutes down the road. I think that's going to be a factor that's going to help Pacelli get, I'm going to say an upset win because they're the 3 seed. Stratford's the number 2 seed. But I think Pacelli moves on to the championship to take on Athens Christian.
I'm taking Pacelli over Stratford too, and I got Pacelli and Athens Christian in the state championship game. All right, let's move on and let's go to the 4A boys classification. And Pacelli, Makai Williams led with 22 points. They dominated Tallulah Falls. Their winning streak goes down to 38 games. They have not lost since early last year. The defending champions continue dominating. And Tatnall takes down Stratford in what was a fantastic game, Richard. Went down to the wire. They won 66-44. The leading scorer for Tatnall was Johnson with 21 points. And now we get Tatnall against Pacelli. Does Tatnall have what it takes to take down the juggernaut, Pacelli?
Look, Tatnall's had a fantastic year. They're in a tough district with Stratford and Mount DeSales and First Presbyterian Day and John Millage. But I just think this is too much for Tatnall. Pacelli is playing on another level. They have not skipped a beat from that team that won it all last year. And also, you got to factor in the home court. Like the Pacelli girls, I think they're going to have a huge advantage playing at Columbus State.
Yeah, I think so too. And then also, Cristo Rey and Athens Christian took on. Cristo Rey beat Bethlehem. Jadence Crawford won 23 points for him. He was fantastic. And Athens Christian Hubbard had 22 as they both got big wins and they move forward. Now 2 versus number 3. I got Athens Christian and Pacelli. I've been kind of waiting on this matchup all year, taking down a really good Jadence Crawford, who's one of the best players in the state as a junior. It's going to be fun, but I'm going to take Athens Christian over Cristo Rey. What about you, Richard?
Look, I understand Cristo Rey being the number 2 seed, but Cristo Rey played Pacelli in the regular season, and Pacelli won convincingly. So I think that there is a gap between the number 1 and number 2 seed. Athens Christian, they got a very good win. By the way, 2 teams that are new to the GIAA. Athens Christian gets the win over the Keens Academy that came over from the Gaps. And I think that it's going to be an all Athens Christian Pacelli final for both the girls and the boys.
And we can't wait for it. Remember, tomorrow we'll have our pregame show for each day at 12 p.m. on the Georgia Independent Athletic Association Facebook page and YouTube channel. So please tune in then. And we appreciate y'all. $39.99 is what it costs to watch 4 games at each location. Incredible deal. So please go out, show support to the GIAA, and we'll see you next time. Thank y'all so much for watching. We got some great basketball. Good luck to all the teams. Thank you to the Beck Center for allowing us to host here. And we'll see you tomorrow for GIAA semifinals, 1A at Bruton Parker, 3A at Columbus State University. From Rich Holdridge, I'm Thrift Barringer saying thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.